So, Nintendo has recently come out and said that they want the Switch to go and sell as much as the Wii did. And when I heard that, I really couldn't believe it, because they said the exact same thing about the Wii U. And we all know how the Wii U went. It only sold about 14 million units worldwide. About 86 million less than the Wii did. So, it was amazing just how overconfident they were for the Wii. The Wii U. They thought it was just going to be just Wii all over again, even though they were just... It was not that by a long shot, and there are a million reasons why. And it just... I kind of wonder why they're doing this, because gaming is different than it was 10 years ago. I mean, maybe even 5 years ago. It's not the same thing as it was. Back in 2007, gaming was... I mean, it was still pretty much just... A lot of people went to your house and played video games. Today, it's starting to become a lot more online stuff. But back then, gaming was at least a little bit different. And I kind of find it amazing that Nintendo wants the Switch to sell 100 million, and I would like it. It would be really good for Nintendo. I'd be happy for them, but it's very unlikely. Just, the Wii was the last system that sold 100 million, and there are some reasons for that, as well as the other systems that have sold 100 million. Now, the Wii was a fad. Back from about 2007 to 2009, maybe 2010, the Wii was a fad. It was the toy that everyone wanted. But eventually it just faded out and no one wanted it anymore. And a lot of the people who got the Wii didn't get it to play video games constantly. They only got it for once in a while. They got it to go and play at Super Bowl parties or Christmas parties. And they also got to go and put it in retirement homes. And today, the people who got for parties, it now sits somewhere in a closet or at a dollar store somewhere gathering dust. And the ones that were at retirement homes, probably half the people who played their Wii back then are now dead. So, a lot has changed since the Wii, and Nintendo just... they made so many mistakes with the Wii U. Just, I've said it a billion times, everyone else has said it a billion times, but they should not have expected it to go and sell 100 million, because one big thing was the casuals. Casuals back in 2007, 2006, they were there. And that was because the mobile market for phones and tablets weren't nearly as big. Today, everyone has a cell phone. Back in 2006, a lot of people did, but not as much as today. And back then, they were flip phones. The smartphones weren't a thing, and tablets weren't very common for people. Really, only rich people had them. So, I mean, I think even back in 2006, I didn't even have a cell phone. I think the only one who did was my older brother. So, and probably a good majority of my friends, but again, not all of them. So, it's just, it shows you what a difference just 10 years can make. And the Wii U, you can't go and take it to the middle of a forest and play it, unless you go to unless you're in an RV or go to a cabin that has electricity. You can't play it. You can't go under the stars and play it like you can with a tablet. Now, a tablet will eventually run out of power, but the Wii U there's nowhere to go and plug it. You can't go and play it, and you also have to lug all the games around, and the system itself, and the controllers, and the wires. To me, some people, it's a lot of work, and they don't want to go through it. So it's understandable why the casual market has moved on, and somehow Nintendo didn't see that. Even years after they've moved on from the Wii, I don't know how they missed it, but they did. And Nintendo, they're probably not coming back. they're probably going to stick to the tablets. And yes, the Wii, you can go and play in a forest, but they'd rather probably just stick to the thing they know best, which is the tablets they already have. They don't probably want to go and try something new and then just pretty much have something that's mostly for games. For tablets, they can surf the internet, watch movies, blah 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 blah. With the Switch, the main thing is video games. It can do other stuff, but its main point is just to solely play video games, and that's not what casuals want to do. So that's the reason the Wii sold 100 million. Then there's also the PS2. The PS2 came out in 2000, and I think in 1999 in Japan. I might be wrong about that, but back then, DVD players were very expensive. Back then, most people still used VCRs. I still used VCRs up until about 2004, because my mom would usually still get VHS tapes for me when it comes to movies, and I'd be like, no, please get DVDs, but she would still get VHS tapes, and tapes was still made until 2006, several years after the DVD player came out. So, because they were just so expensive, a lot of people just stayed at VHS tapes. But the PS2 was technically one of the most affordable DVD players out there. Even though DVD players could only play DVDs, the PS2 could do a lot more, but it was just more affordable than a lot of DVD players out there. So, for many out there, it was their first DVD player. It was my first DVD player. And it was kind of see that for a few years until the DVD market went down in price. So the PS2 went on to sell about 150 million units. It's, I think, still the most biggest selling console of all time. So because of that, it just became one of the best selling consoles, and if it weren't for the DVD player, it probably wouldn't sell as much. It still would have sold a lot, but not as much. But it is one of the biggest reasons it sold 100 million, because it had a DVD player in it, and it just cost less. Then there's the DS, the original DS. That came out back in 2004, and this is also kind of a phone thing. Back in 2004, phones really couldn't do that much. They could play a few games, I think, but not much. You didn't really have any of those side scrollers that they have today. Mostly they were just puzzle games or something like that. But with the DS, you could go and bring around and play all these kinds of games and just other kind of stuff like chat with people and everything like that. So it really caught the eye of a lot of casuals out there and sold very well, and is very close to the PS2 when it comes to sales. So just like everything else I said, it sold very well because it had something that was starting to catch on to the time. The cell phones weren't too common at the time. It was, I think, around a time when they were just starting to catch on. Before that, it was really only rich people who had a cell phone. I remember back in about 2nd grade when my friend had a cell phone, I was like, holy crap, you're like the richest person ever! But now no one even bats an eye. I mean, I think even 10 years ago or so, people were questioning if an 8-year-old should have a cell phone. Now every 8-year-old has a cell phone. Things have really changed, and 2004, not too many people had one, so the DS really caught on and went on to sell 100 million. So, I'm not really sure if we're ever going to see 100 million console again, because a lot of people would probably just rather stay to the brand they're on and just not go and switch to a console, which is pretty much just sold for video games, and then they have to lug that around and everything like that. To me, the days of a system selling 100 million units are gone. Maybe we'll sell it if the company puts in whatever is big next very early, but I think it's really unlikely. Probably the biggest selling we'll ever see in modern day is maybe like 7 million or 70 million. Probably most likely 60 million, but 100 million, I think those days are gone, and we're never going to see them again. I would like to see one of the companies do that, but to me, it just doesn't seem likely, because with the casual market not there, they're not going to sell nearly as much. They're only going to have the regular hardcore gamer, and I don't think the casual market is ever coming back, at least right now. So Nintendo, I'm pretty sure the Switch will sell much better than the Wii U. It already is, but you shouldn't expect 100 million units. If you are, you're once again, just like the Wii U, going to be disappointed. At this point, I think it's probably going to sell probably in between the GameCube and the N64. At least what I think right now. That's my guess. Maybe if it's very, very successful, a little bit more than the N64, but it won't sell as much as the NES, the Super NES, or the Wii. I don't see that happening.